Hi, good morning. It is Friday, the 24th of January, so that means that I'm doing a reflection on A Course in Miracles, Lesson 23. And the lesson says, I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. Well, the prior day said what I see is a form of vengeance. So today we're saying I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. And I'm like, attack thoughts? I don't feel like I have attack thoughts. And then you say, oh my God, I do. If you really stop and do the practice. Before I get into what it really ended up meaning to me, or how I ended up practicing it, is I'm going to read this paragraph that helps kind of put it in context. Okay, so for the very first line, let me read that first. The idea for today contains the only way out of fear that will ever succeed. Okay, then later it goes, if the cause of the world you see is attack thoughts, you must learn that it is these thoughts which you do not want. There is no point in lamenting the world. There is no point in trying to change the world. It is incapable of change because it is merely an effect. But there is indeed a point in changing your thoughts about the world. Here you are changing the cause. The effect will change automatically. What if we all did that? The world would change. Literally, if every person did that, the world would change. So yeah, but each of us has to do it. And the world will change for us. So you might think, well, I'm doing it, but the president surely isn't going to do it. He's gone through life this many years. Surely he's stuck in his ways. That goes for whatever president, whoever's further along and set in their ways from your perspective. So it's like, well, then what's the point? And then it's like, wait a minute. I can only change my perception of the world anyway. I'm never going to, whatever I do isn't going to change the president's perception of the world. Not truly. So it's like, well, I have to change my own thoughts to change my view of the world. And it's true. Whenever I've changed the way I see something, my experience of that thing changes. Sorry, I'm moving around a lot. So anyway, the idea for today introduces the thought that you are not trapped in the world you see because its cause can be changed. So then that's just like, well, duh. If I change the way I see the world, my world changes and I'm not trapped in my old way of seeing things. That's so common sense, right? So logical, easy. And then it says the way to practice this is to say to yourself, I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts about blank. So the way that this landed for me was when I first thought, oh, I don't have attack thoughts. I don't attack other people. But what I did realize very quickly after that is I have counterattack thoughts like you would not believe. I'm like, oh my God, that's where most of my internal angst comes from, because it's like a preemptive, it's like the storytelling in my head about, oh, I'm feeling this kind of energy from this person and I don't get it. Like, am I doing something wrong? Have I rubbed them wrong in some way? Am I triggering them? And I certainly don't want to do that. I'd want to know what am I doing? I don't, like, especially being out of my own culture, out of my own home, I'm hyper aware of things around me. And if I feel an energy of like, is someone not pleased with me? What did I do? I feel like I'm rubbing somebody in the wrong way somehow. And again, these are all just in my head. Who knows if it's actually true for that person? And so in my head, though, I have this whole story going on. Like, oh my God, what did I do? And then, okay, well, I don't think I've done anything. Is something wrong with them? Are they having a bad day? Oh my God, it's happening 2 to 3 days in a row. I just don't know. Like, are they, like, I begin to like build up a bigger story, and then the counterattack thoughts might be like, well, if they said this to me, this is what I would say to them. Like, you're like preemptively like preparing for attack. And attack doesn't, and I don't think it even says this. It's not like it has to be a vicious attack or anything. It's just like those little, like, your thoughts go into that fear place versus the love place. However small it shifts to that side of the spectrum, that's what I feel like an attack could be. An attack thought could be outward attack to another person, or inward attack on your own character or sense of self or self-worth. And so the main attack is me attacking myself for something I perceive out in the world, and then a counterattack if that person were to actually confront me in some way. How would I respond? How would I reply? You know, and I get to a place of love, of course, like, I wouldn't say anything out of alignment with how I truly feel these days. I would have an honest conversation about, I don't know, boundaries and my intentions and those types of things. But, oh my God, I was like, I have so many stories that move quickly. Like, I can get there quickly. I can come up with a story. Woo. I know. Phone drop on my chest. Oh, I can't wait to see what that looks like, because I'm just going to splice these together. I'm not starting over. My hand got a little loose. Where was I? So it just was such a good reminder that, oh my God, I look out in the world and all I see is vengeance. That was the day before his lesson where I was like, no, I don't. Yeah, I do, and I don't want that. I don't want those thoughts. I don't want to always be hyper vigilant. And again, it's something I'm working through. I'm healing day by day by day, because I know it's a trauma response. It's a common trauma response. Hypervigilance, always trying to make sure everyone's okay. And it all comes from like shame and a sense of lack of self-worth in some ways, of like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. Everyone's mad at me and blah, blah, blah. And then I go to the ego place. Well, that's a very egotistical way, a selfish way of going through the world of like, it's all about me. And then I'm like, well, yeah, we only have our own perspective. And then I'm starting to see all the sides of the coin. And then my head's pretty crazy in there sometimes. Like, I feel still calm and grounded. But up here, it's like accounting for every possible scenario, like a mofo. Like it's wild. And sometimes I catch it and I'm just like, come on. You are not present at all. I'm like, bring it back. It's just, the mind is wild. It is literally this wild beast to be tamed, to be made friends with. I definitely, oh my God, I think about how some practices feel like they're against the mind. Like, it's like either or, mind or body, either or, mind or soul, higher self. And I feel like, dudes and dudesses, we are all of it, all the time. That's the whole point of this human experience, to grapple with all of these elements and find what our harmony is. Not balance, harmony. How are we harmonizing mind, body, spirit, the Trinity? Like, how are we harmonizing? And for me, my harmonizing is like, ego, I love you, I need you. I point to my head because, you know, it feels like it's all up here, but it's everywhere. I'm like, okay, ego, I love you, and you know I need you. And we have a good relationship of like humor, of like, I see what you're doing there. You're distracting me. And I still need you. The ego needs to feel needed, or else it fights harder. When you resist the ego, it's like, oh, you really? Oh, really? Oh, I'll show you. And so I'm developing this funny, nice relationship with the ego. Like, can you, and I do this in my treatments with clients before they come in when I'm meditating, and I'm just like, especially Reiki and craniosacral, especially, I'm like, okay, can you just take a back seat for an hour? You can be a witness. You can witness this whole thing, but I'm going to need you to whoosh, because we're all working together inside mind, body, spirit to be present with this experience this client is intended to have with our help. So let's be helpful. Yeah. So that's where I'm at currently with my little ego relationship, because we haven't always worked well together. Not quite. So these attack thoughts are like all ego. And so I'm like reminding myself that the ego doesn't have to be an enemy. You don't have to let it attack the self, and we don't have to let it attack outward. It can be an ally. And because we need it, I need to be able to move through the world as a human being, present, like aware, like having human thoughts to get through my day with other humans. I still need it. And then sometimes I'm like, let's harmonize you down to you're at a 10, we need to bring you down to a 3 or a 0.5. So, I don't know, it's working for me. And I think that's it. It was more about the inward attack thoughts and the outward counterattack thoughts, like the preemptive strike. Not even like tangible strike, but the preemptive figuring out how I would strike if a situation occurred. And sometimes it's not interpersonal. Sometimes it's like thinking 10 steps ahead about how to handle a situation that may not be a deep interpersonal like struggle. It just might be like an interaction I'm gonna have at the DMV. I don't know. So, or if you work at the DMV, oh my God, you might be, you know the full spectrum of requests and personalities and attitudes you're about to get today in customer service of any kind, huh? I've been there. And you are preemptively ready for battle a lot of days with that ego fully armed, ready for counterattack. And that can't be pleasant. I remember. And then my old line of work, being a project manager, leading projects, that's where 99.9 of the stress, I think, came from, yet pretending, not realizing and pretending I wasn't stressed. Like, no, I have it. I'm cool as a cucumber for my team, my clients, my financial backers, like, you know, sponsors, project sponsors. Like, you have got 1,000,000 masks and you're wearing them all as cool as a cucumber. They're all like, we got this. And inside, it's like, no rest for the wicked. No rest. No rest. And like sometimes with that whole battle analogy, we just want to rest. There's no real enemy right now. Let's take off the armor. Let's put down the spears. Ego. Yeah, thanks for listening. This was kind of fun. It reminded me, like, maybe today I'll talk to my ego a little bit before the weekend. And then again on Sunday night, we'll have a little chat and be like, yeah, this week, let's dial it down to maybe a 5. Let's try to go like right in the middle at the start of the week and then see, okay, now we can dial it down to a 3. And maybe a 1 some days in certain moments, especially helping my students. Like, I need to be there with the knowledge and the experience and the confidence, but not the ego. Those are 2 different things. Or 4 different things. I forget how many I said. So, yeah, it's fun to think about. Like, it's one of those esoteric things that also can be made tangible. I feel like it's like I can apply this in the real world immediately and see its effects. And so it's like I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. Heck yes. Okay, ego, we're going to give up those thoughts for the day. And then the day just changes magically. Like, whoa. I tried it the other day when I said this, when you experience an energy. I thought I was experiencing something, and then I'm going through these lessons, and I'm like, no, it's all in my head at some level. I cannot ever know what that other person is thinking or feeling. Even if they tell me, well, I heard your words, but is that truly representative of the real? Bloop, bloop, bloop. I don't know. So it's not for me to worry about. I'm acting and thinking and feeling in alignment, always checking that these days, trying my best. Always is an always word. You don't always want to say always, but as much as possible these days, like, is what I'm thinking, feeling, saying intentional and in line with my authenticity, how I feel it today, right now. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And if I say yes, then it's like, okay, well, then I'm okay. Let's like try not to let it go. Let's let it go as much as possible. And sometimes that means like redirect, read part of my book, listen to a song I love. Like sometimes I keep saying this, and even though the book talks about thoughts being primary to everything, I'm still feeling like in those moments when I'm battling habitual thinking that I'm trying to unhabit, I still feel like it's still hard for me to think myself into a new way of acting. Instead, I have to act myself into a new way of thinking. So that means for me, sometimes when I've tried everything from the thought space of like quieting the mind, breathing, whatever. Breathing is an act, but you know, like I have birds. I have to reorient with an act. Okay, well, I can't just force. It's like resistance sets in sometimes, and what you resist persists. So then I'm like, okay, let's shake it out, tap my body, read part of my book, listen to a song I like, change my location and space, perspective. So that's acting myself. It's like reorienting, acting myself into a new way of thinking by being able to let now, okay, I can let that go because I've reoriented, you know, and it's not distraction for me when I say I know the difference between distraction and reorienting. Reorienting for me is like, whatever I'm doing here is not working. I'm still acutely aware of the thoughts I've been having and the effect it's taking on myself, my emotions, everything. And I'm not going to distract by like numbing out in some way, meaning go inward and isolate and watch something on Netflix, eat a big bowl of something I don't want to eat, that's not good for me. Those were like maybe some ways I have in the past numbed out with distraction, meaning, oh, I don't want to think about this anymore. I'm just gonna like numb out. But instead, I'd like to reorient with like, okay, bring it into the body by acting, moving, deep breath, something. Whereas numbing out takes me even out of my body too. I'm like out of mind and out of body. It's a really weird, like, I am fully in the other thing as a form of distraction. I can get so consumed by a movie or a TV show or 10 episodes of a TV show all in a row. I don't want to do that. I'm like, where did the time go? Where did I go? What is I? So that's the difference I mean. I just had to put that out there. More is like, if I come back to this, it's a reminder that, no, I know the difference between distraction and orienting, reorienting. And there is a difference. And I think it has to do with feeling present in the body, bringing it from here to here. Even though, like I said earlier, it's all one cauldron. This is what we're familiar with as far as brain and ego, heart and body. You know, it's useful right now. So that's all I have for lesson 23. Thanks for watching, listening. I'm going to mush these nanners. Where is my camera? Right there? So the housekeeping comes today to take out the recycling and trash. We take the recycling to the, or not the recycling, they're going to take out recycling, trash, and compost. We take our own compost to the compost bin whenever we need to. So I thought, well, these bananas were in a big plastic container and they were starting to go bad, like really ripe, and to the point where it was going to start attracting the little gnats and maybe ants because they're so sweet. And so that way they could take that big plastic container today. Two birds, one, I don't like that phrase. Anyway, I'm solving a lot of problems by maybe mushing these bananas up and packing them tightly in a little container in the fridge, and then it'll be like a little sweet pick-me-up during breaks at lunch. We'll see how long they last though. I thought if I get them mushed up and packed without air, maybe I can preserve it, or I'll make a smoothie. If they don't look like they're doing good around lunchtime today, my housemate has this Ninja. It is like, she calls it her spaceship. It is amazing. Oh my God, it's so amazing. I want to try it. All you have to do is push the button, it does the rest. It'll like pulse it when it feels like it needs pulsed. It'll know when to stop, when to restart. It'll even calculate the time for you. It's like those washing machines that do a little 49 minutes, you know. It does kind of that thing. It's like 49 seconds instead. Okay, that's enough.